Of course you two would be here. Why on earth wouldn't you be? This is gonna be a big ol' thing. Judge Courtney, what are you doing here? Well, if I had to wager a guess, probably helping with the investigation for this guy. And I, once again, do need to continuously ask why exactly she's doing that. She's a judge. I've never seen a judge this, like, waist deep in the trenches, as it were. This is very bizarre. Questioning a prisoner. Did you forget that we're investigating as well? Or rather, have you forgotten my warning? If you value your badge, you should not have appeared before me again. How was I supposed to avoid you if I don't know where you're supposed to be at any given moment in time? Am I supposed to just randomly guess that you happen to be in any given room? Hell with that noise. I'm sorry if you thought that I would abide by those words, because I'm going to be honest with you, they are redonkulously impractical, and in general, somewhat impossible. Given the lines of professions that we both work in, the odds of us running into each other were pretty much astronomically high. So, maybe shut up. I won't overlook something important just to heed your warning. I've come for a testimony about the truth of this case, which you have overlooked. You mean to say you require my humble services? Yes, I am saying that. As I promised, I've returned to prove that you are the culprit. Interesting. Do tell. Objection. Man, who asked you? Before that, you should first listen to our reasoning. We can say with confidence that Simon Keyes is the culprit, can you? Only Simon Keyes could have moved Mr. Knightley into the prison. And we can show proof of this fact. But first, I'd like to hear your resolve, Prosecutor Edgeworth. If our reasoning is correct, will you submit it to us? Your prosecutor's badge? I mean, considering the fact that you're definitely full of hot air, I'm gonna go ahead and say sure. You'll deprive him of his badge? Is that a threat, pal? No, it's not a threat. Rather an act of compassion. Y'all got a wicked and twisted conception of compassion. Normally, I wouldn't have even taken notice of you, since you have no right to investigate. However, if you are able to show proper resolve, then I will beat you to death, I guess. I would be willing to let you be my opponent. Are you willing to risk it? Your prosecutor's badge? Mr. Edgeworth? Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Smug, smug, smug. You think I'm gonna back down now? Very well. I trust my own reasoning. But moreover, at the moment, I am currently a defense attorney's assistant. First, and a prosecutor second. How about not sully the good name of the Edgeworth law offices? Oh, not bad. Oh, well, goddamn, that was actually kind of cool. I intend to see my job through. I won't yield to your threats. So be it. Is this bravery or simple foolishness? Oh, I know all about fools, okay? I know a lady who's taught me everything there is to know about that. I ain't no fool. On the goddess of law's behalf, I shall be the judge of that. How often do you think actual judges use the term, I'll be the judge of that? If I was one, I feel like I do it all the time. Sebastian, allow me to. Yeah, I got it. I'm counting on you, Justine. Wow, I'm actually confronting her this time. All right, this will be fun to get actually correct. Let's do it. I presume you know of the incident Mr. Knightley caused the day before yesterday? He attacked a guard and stole his keys, except he didn't do that, so all right. Afterwards, Simon Keyes stopped by his cell with an animal cage from the show. During this time, Mr. Knightley was able to use the stolen key to exit his cell. He then hid in the cage while it was moved to the prison workroom. Uh-huh. So Mr. Keyes went to his cell after all. After hearing you talk about the security camera yesterday, we investigated it ourselves. Which is really something I should have done already, but whatever. Why don't you have a look? All right, I'm looking. I have here a printout of the security camera footage. This is the moment when Mr. Keyes visited Knightley. Exactly. As you can see, the cage creates a huge blind spot in the cell. By using this blind spot, Mr. Knightley could have entered the cage. That is our reasoning. A blind spot. That means the camera doesn't actually show him entering the cage. At this time, there's still the possibility that Knightley never left his cell. But why would he be hiding inside an animal cage? Mr. Knightley was planning to escape from prison. That is the only possibility. A prison escape? That's so cool. First Mr. Elbert, now Mr. Knightley. I won't let them show me up. Okay, you really should try to go for a record of never being arrested. This isn't the time to get excited. J. Elbert's escape is no laughing matter. He could be a murderer for all we know. That seems to be the only crime ever committed in this universe. Simon Keyes was aiding Mr. Knightley in his escape. In other words, he was an accomplice. Not bad, Simon. Don't praise him, especially when he clearly didn't do any of this. That cage was transported temporarily to the workroom. Originally, Mr. Knightley was to remain hidden until the end of the animal show. He would then be carried out along with the cage. I presume that was the plan. However, midway through the plan, he was betrayed by Simon Keyes and murdered. What's the motive? Judge Courtney's reasoning does appear to make sense if you ignore the parts that you can poke holes in. However, there must be a hole somewhere. I must not overlook anything. Alright, well, let's start with what's very blisteringly obvious. Can I get a bit more information on this whole stealing keys thing? Because we specifically have evidence that says that that's not a thing that's actually a thing. So, let's talk about that for a little bit, if you don't mind. Do you have proof Knightley stole the keys? It is the only explanation as to why Mr. Knightley would have attacked the guard. We will know for certain the moment the guard regains consciousness. Is that really true? Should I ask Judge Courtney for more information? I'm gonna go ahead and say yeah on that one. There is one point in your reasoning that is odd. If Knightley did indeed steal the key, I'd expect he'd try to escape immediately. Was it really necessary for him to wait for Mr. Keyes to help him escape? He simply chose the method with the highest probability of success. After stealing the key, he concealed it on his personage. As he waited for the opportune moment, that is what I believe. Okay, so even though they searched him and the entire area, they never found the keys, you still think he was just hiding them? Judge Courtney, such an oversight is unlike you. Knightley could not have concealed the key, and I can prove it. Knightley did not hide the key, and the proof is... it should just be the keys itself, yeah? I believe so. Current location unknown, yeah.
Take that!
Ha-ha! Smug. Haven't the guards informed you yet? They searched Knightley after he attacked the guard, and the key was nowhere to be found. Since the key's location is unknown, your logic doesn't hold. Still staying chill. Fair enough. That is not an issue. There is an explanation. Mr. Knightley had the key. It simply wasn't found. The reason being, he concealed it inside the chessboard. The chessboard? You mean the one that concealed the murder weapon? Come now, how do we know whether or not the murder weapon was really there? The fact that that was a very large portion of your entire theory the other day? You're the one who came up with that and presented it as evidence! What? Take some responsibility for your own words, thank you, Kay. That was all Sebastian's idea, after all. So those two don't always agree on their reasoning. Handy. In other words, once we put all the pieces together, Mr. Knightley concealed the key he stole from the guard inside the chessboard. You don't say. When Simon Keyes arrived, Mr. Knightley used the key to slip out of his cell. He entered the animal cage and was transported to the workroom. All thanks to his accomplice, Simon Keyes. Mr. Knightley had planned to be carried outside after the show had ended. However, he was betrayed by his accomplice and murdered during the circus performance. Mr. Keyes performed in the show. He would have had no opportunity to murder him during the circus performance. Yet you say that. No opportunity? Is that so? A story plays itself out on the stage. And such was the case with the animal show. So, she examined the content of the show. The suspect plays the role of the villain who antagonizes the elephant heroine. That's a sentence. In the final act, the villain is defeated by the heroine's love and all ends well. Also, the elephant steps on their head, which, I mean, you know, that's a little bit more effective. But still, love and stuff. At that point, the suspect in the role of the villain is blown away by the heroine's burning love. Or maybe their trumpet noise. It's hard to tell, really. I wasn't paying much attention. And makes his exit. Blown away by the elephant? Was he hurt? After being blown away, the suspect disappeared from the stage. The suspect was absent from the stage for about 15 minutes. Are you saying the crime was committed during that time? Even in such a short period of time, it would still be possible to carry out the murder. But why? Don't you think so? I'm gonna go ahead and say no, and the smug seems to imply that he is also thinking that. So, he committed the crime in 15 minutes and then returned to the stage. That may have been possible if the crime scene had been the prison, which it isn't. We already proved that much. Judge Courtney, the actual crime scene took place at the detention center. I'm afraid I cannot accept that camera footage alone as evidence. Well, then good news, dumbass. I happen to have more. As for evidence, I have it. Well then, please show us your evidence. Where is the evidence that shows the scene of the crime was the detention center? Yeah, alright, let me just show you this wiped up floor. By the way, you might want to get this place swept more. This is the floor. Oh, goddess of law! I'm unable to comprehend your mysterious ways. Oh, shut up. This is what we discovered. This area here was tested positive for Mr. Knightley's blood. No! This blood test. Can it really be trusted? Really? To begin with, how are you able to conduct a scientific investigation? I know so many people. Smug. I happen to have a subordinate. I can't vouch for his competence, but he is a man that I trust. And in a way, that's nice. It's good. Thank you for that. Thanks, I guess. That detective. This concerns me. I cannot think why one would disturb the order of law. The Prosecutorial Investigation Committee's influence goes as far as the police department. Gumby's in trouble. Forgive me, detective. I'm afraid something bad may come of this. Well, at least he is apologetic of it. I will accept the fact that blood was found at the detention center as evidence. However... What? How ridiculous! This is unthinkable of you, you third-rate prosecutor! Mr. DeBest, you're here? I'd completely forgotten about him. Yeah, that stands to reason. There's a giant contradiction in your statement! According to the security tape, a dog killed Knightley in his cell. Then, after he left the cell, the blood on the floor was wiped away? Did the dog wipe away the bloodstains? As if that could happen. Alright, admittedly, that is actually a fairly decent point. That is possible. Of my Anubis. Right, boy? But, what? That was one of the tricks I taught him while I was still in the outside world to clean up his crimes. Damn. He makes sure to hide any bloodstains he makes. So as to not leave behind any evidence. Well, so much for that. I didn't even have to do anything. I was saved, if only by chance. Shouldn't you have taught your dog to shake or something? He already knows that. Anubis also performs that trick very well. But the shake I taught him is a little different from others. Uh-oh. First, he bites the victim's hands. Stop. I don't want to hear anymore. I see. I understand. Prosecutor Edgeworth, it appears you've gathered a good hand. I'm glad you understand. And yet, this is still happening. My argument isn't over yet! Objection overruled. Ha! Hey now, that's a little harsh. Sebastian, would you allow me the privilege of explaining? Sure, Justine. Do you finally realize The murder occurred in the detention center. Therefore, that assassin's pet dog... Alright, then fine, interrupt me. That's just totally cool of you. My opinion has not changed. Unless I can understand how the dog was able to enter and leave the crime scene. Through a secret tunnel, mostly. I'm afraid I cannot accept your logic, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Alright, then fine, let me show you. I've been waiting for you to say that. Now, let me show you. Observe as I break down. The evidence shows the route the dog used to go between the detention center and the prison. It's a big honking tunnel. Where are you? There you are. And it's got doggy prints all over the dang thing. Yeah! This photo. I've got so much smug. It shows a secret tunnel hidden in the prison. That's impossible! And yet it's not a secret tunnel! This tunnel was dug by the escaped prisoner, J. Elbert. So what you gonna do about that noise? It begins in his prison cell. That's a big-ass tunnel, and it's connected to a holding cell in the detention center. Namely, the victim cell. Ah! I'm shocked. How did this... If you're gonna ask how nobody was able to find the tunnel, I'm also curious about that because it was not subtle. Dogen, you must have known of this, since you used this tunnel to commit the murder! No, you're still overruling me, what the hell? In the name of the goddess of law, I hereby reject Prosecutor Edgeworth's claim. How would you not with this? What do you mean? Yet you said that already. Evidence is everything. That remains true here, just as in the courtroom. Isn't that right? I have evidence here. Horace Knightley's autopsy Did you just use an autopsy report to counter Edgeworth? How the turntables? Autopsy report? Since when? Why are you surprised? This was delivered straight from the police a short while ago. It's not complete yet, more of a preliminary report. Here, the very word of the goddess of law is written. Cause of death, stab wound to the neck, died instantly. Murder weapon, sharp metal object. The victim was stabbed multiple times in the same spot with a sharp object. Although they were unable to determine the actual shape of the murder weapon, they have clear proof that it was a sharp metal object. Okay, well at least that makes a little bit more sense as to why you were constantly so sure about it. So, do you still stand by your claim? That a dog used a sharp object to kill the victim? Okay, this can't be! That's not good. That is all. The court is adjourned. Nothing is adjourned. Shut your face. But wait, the tunnel contains the dog's footprints. Perhaps it may have been one of Anubis's walking courses. I can never tell what Anubis gets up to outside my cell. Something feels unnatural about all this, but I have no evidence. Corny Pie, you sure pulled out a hidden gem at the very last moment. She waited for the perfect time to reveal the autopsy report. So this is what it feels like. I feel like I should apologize to Phoenix, but no. No, I don't think I will. Have I let her out Whitney again? Appointed Attorney Shields. Here is the autopsy report from earlier. I apologize for the delay. No, it's alright. Thank you. Alright, well, that's handy to have at least. I gladly accept it. Mr. Shields, I don't believe it's necessary to hold hands while exchanging documents. I'd advise you to stop. Ah, but it's what I do. Persist any longer, and I shall call on the strength of the goddess of law, which is just a fancy way of saying I'll bludgeon you. I'll be careful. Justine! Well done. Just as I planned. Yeah, sure, all right. I only acted in accordance to your instructions. Okay, well that sounds like a waddle-lotta hooey to me. The autopsy report came straight from the police. I can't refute it. However, if the murder weapon wasn't the dog, Dogen will be cleared of suspicion. The merciful goddess of law so decrees. If you choose to yield now, your badge will not be taken. What will you do, sir? She says that, but... My answer remains the same. Judge Courtney, it is as I said before. I will see my job through. I will not yield to threats. So even now, you still refuse to give up. If you want to keep your badge, this may be your last chance. Right now, I am a defense attorney's assistant. What I protect is not my badge, but my client. Edgeworth! The goddess of law grows weary of you constantly trying to flaunt your character development at me. Now we're talking. Miles is starting to understand that a defense attorney never gives up. Actually, those were the words of your old man. My father? It really is in your blood. You're the spitting image of him right now. You said it yourself. You've changed since you were tainted by Von Karma. It's only now that I've actually come to believe it. This entire time you were just placating. Wow, alright, fine, well. As long as you believe me now, I guess that's all that really matters. Well then, Miles. Now's the time to put those skills to the test. Think beyond your limits. If the murder weapon was a sharp object, does that really negate your reasoning? The murder weapon was a sharp object. That's it! There were 5 chisels placed inside this special cell. Dogen is a former assassin. It's quite possible he could kill someone with just a chisel. It's a pointy metal object used for wood carving. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you jabbed that into someone's neck, they'd die. In that case, the weapon that killed Horace Knightley was... Is that all? Well, then I suppose you'll be giving up. Shut your faces! Evidence is everything, didn't you say? The murder weapon was a sharp metal object. However, such a weapon is yet to be found. What are you trying to say? I'm trying to say you're bad at your job, now listen here. The only decisive evidence is the actual murder weapon itself. And that was in plain sight this whole time. The real murder weapon is... Dogen's chisel! What did you say? Take responsibility for your own statements. The scene of the crime was Mr. Knightley's cell. You said so yourself. If the evidence changes, then so will my logic. That too is courtroom procedure, is it not? If the chisel was used, that means the killer was human. However, the fact remains that we cannot deny the security photo. Yeah, what about the photo? I'll give you the answer. This photo shows the moment. Let's see. I'm gonna go with the dog leapt at the victim. The implication here is that he wasn't dead. Dogen's dog leapt at Knightley. However, the victim did not die at that time, and technically the video footage never showed him dying. Didn't die? He was only knocked unconscious. The dog didn't move a dead body, it moved the unconscious Knightley. Now where did the blood come from? And the real killer was its owner. I see. If the victim was moved, it would have been possible for Dogen to commit the murder. And use the murder weapon. Indeed, the killer is Sirhan Dogen. It can only be you. Now what? I bet your teacher used to write on your report card, needs to pay more attention on what others say. I don't remember who specifically had that shtick, but you totally just stole somebody's shtick from a prior game. I would think that describes you more. We examined that room. Every crooked This freaking guy. Right, Justine? You said it wrong, but yeah, the meaning is there. Chisel's missing. We examined all 4 of Mr. Dogen's chisels and found no traces of blood. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank you, Judge Courtney. Thanks to you, I am now certain. Thanks to me? Whatever do you mean? When I came here earlier, I saw 5 chisels. That's right, there were definitely 5 there before. I even wanted to look at it and the game didn't let me. So the one that disappeared was the smallest one, presumably for portable use. Dogen, where is that chisel? I'm not free to leave this place. I have no need of a portable chisel. Not free to leave? Well, in that case, he mustn't have been free to hide the deadly chisel either. then only one thing could have. Huh. Dogen, you just dug your own grave. It seems you know something. Would you care to show it? I dare say that I shall. Dogen couldn't leave, so the place he hid the chisel is... You can't leave, it's gotta be here. Simple as that. Dogen is a prisoner, so he can't leave his cell freely. Perhaps he could have sent his dog out to dispose of it. But he would not have been able to confirm the weapon's location. So, what does that leave? Above all else, special metal tools are allowed in this cell. Even if one chisel were to appear here, no one would suspect a thing. You'd be a fool not to take advantage of that. I see. Of course, it's always safest if you do something yourself. But I examined everything. I didn't find any hiding places in his cell. I am certain that the murder weapon is here. The reason you haven't found it is because it was cleverly hidden. You say I hid it? Where exactly? Think. Where could he have hidden it? I have to remember everything up to this point. There must be some clue. Ah, does this mean what I think it means? Let's get going, Mr. Edgeworth! Yeah, you keep on borking. Come to think of it, that dog hasn't barked at me once today. It's got the chisel in its mouth! Previously, when I came to the special cell, it barked on Dogen's command. That's it! That's what's been out of place. There's just one place he could have hidden the murder weapon. In his dog! Giving up already? How dull, how dull. I ain't giving up. I will present evidence. This piece of evidence shows where you concealed the murder weapon. Inside your own dog! What do you gotta say about that? Hasn't your dog been awfully quiet today? Now that you mention it, it hasn't barked at all. Before it was just doing that all the time. Okay, yeah, just hitting stuff. Sir Dogen, open that dog's mouth now! Oh. Anubis doesn't bark needlessly. I ordered him to do that before. In that case, order it to bark now. Naturally, you should be able to, if you have nothing to hide. Ah, well, crap. It was inevitable. Anubis, show them your mouth. Blech. Found it! As you can see, a dog of this size could easily conceal a small chisel in its... What? Why a chisel? The dog really had one in his mouth? I thought he was unusually quiet. Was he unable to follow the discussion? That lad is dumb as hell. Sebastian, could you call the forensics department? Urgently, please. They got it. What's it be? What's it be? What do we got? A reaction! The chisel test positive for blood! Ta-da! Well, I guess that proves my theory wasn't just nonsense. Yo! Would this chisel be the murder weapon, then? It reacted positively for blood. There is no doubt about that. Well, what do you gotta say about that? Huh? Mr. Sirhan Dogen! Now that the murder weapon has been found, I must ask you for your testimony. We know how your dog got to the detention center, and we found the murder weapon. Do you still think you can talk your way out of this? Interesting. This guy, even at a time like this, he's still smiling. Well, Anubis, it seems everyone has become suspicious of you. It's quite troubling, but since it has come to this, we have no choice but to tell the truth. I did not kill anyone. I've long since grown weary of killing. What's this? His face looks completely composed. It seems we'll need to listen to Mr. Dogen's explanation. Please promptly give your testimony. Certainly. Oh, this is gonna be a thing. Alright then, here we go. What do we got? First of all, I would like you to explain my motive. I do not know anyone by the name of Knightley. We share no connection other than the fact that we play correspondence chess with each other, but that's not relevant. So I wouldn't think some motive for murder would just appear out of nowhere. Or are you insinuating my Anubis had a motive? He only bears his fangs at others on my command. So you say. I do not hunger for blood so much as to kill a man I do not even know. Ugh. Coming from an assassin, it sure is persuasive. An assassin who only kills acquaintances? I doubt that would be profitable. I may kill strangers in my line of work, but I never make it personal. Is there evidence that shows a connection between Knightley and Dogen? Yes, there is, and I have it, and I will give it. I should thoroughly review the evidence once more. No, I don't need to. I already remember it. I've got a freaking memo about this thing, so come on. Alright, you want you there? I mean, it's still not really a good motive unless you were losing the chess game, but that'd be pretty dumb all the same. Anyway, which one of these doodads is the doodad that I am looking for? Here it is. Alright. I've already got it. The finger waggle of triumph has begun. You've lost your touch, Sir Han Dogen. If you had your dog clean up after you, you should have disposed of this too. This is a record of correspondence chess game found in the victim's cell. This record, and the chessboard in your cell, both clearly depict the same game. The odds of there being two chess games going on at this exact moment in time with this exact perfect arrangement, while not completely 0%, is still very low. Okay, I see. What? I've heard that the number of possible chess positions is around 10,120? Wow, interesting formatting on that number. 10 times 10, 120 times, 100,000. Is that even a real number? Oh, that was to that power. Gotcha. Indeed, there's absolutely no way these two could have been a coincidence by coincided by chance. Sorry. Tell us your reason for killing Knightley, unless you intend to explain this as a coincidence. Well, don't they say that the truth is stranger than fiction? It is as you said. This is merely a coincidence. But there's no way that could have happened. My correspondence chess opponent was the victim in this incident. What a horrible coincidence. Aren't you shocked too, Anubis? So your currently running idea is you didn't, I mean, the thing you're going with is you didn't know the guy, you didn't know who you were playing chess with. That's just all a coincidence. That is more possible than just two chessboards being identical. Sure. Looks like I'll have to tell them the truth, Anubis, my boy. The animal show, or something, that was when everyone left. Anubis brought the body to my cell. He had already been stabbed in the neck with the murder weapon. I did not wish to be suspected, so I had Anubis carry the body to the workroom. So, why would Anubis have brought the body? After that, he pulled out the murder weapon and returned to me. So, you're saying the one who pulled the weapon out was Anubis? That's right. He's very good at fetch. If I pulled out the murder weapon here, the blood would have been a problem. Not to mention the fingerprints. Well, then again, I guess it is his, so yeah, that's fair. Mr. Edgeworth, isn't this what that saw it guy said? A large black dog was biting into the neck of the victim. What? What did you say? It was a truly hellish scene. That dog killed him. I see. So that means Saw witnessed the moment the murder weapon was pulled out. Oh yes, that prisoner's testimony. It surprised me when I first heard it. It's not often that Anubis makes a blunder like that. Right, boy? Now, I believe that explains my actions. I did not kill him. All I did was remove the murder weapon. Now, will that be all? Anubis is getting tired.
Objection.
Your voice is still way too deep. Oh, there. Just a moment, Mr. Dogen. Mr. Shields? Isn't there one thing you haven't explained? Let me shrug at you. Why would you need to, oh God, why would you need to pull the weapon out of the victim is what I think that might have been. That's right. I understand why he'd move the body to draw suspicion away from him, but he didn't need to retrieve the murder weapon. I thought him just a fool, but how quickly his scent has changed. Care to elaborate, Mr. Dogen? No, not really. It was because of this bell. The bell attached to the murder weapon and the bell on my dog's neck. Yeah, I was kind of weird it's taken this long for people to finally actually talk about that part. They share a distinctive shape, wouldn't you say? I mean, they're shaped like bells. The assassin Sirhan Dogen's trademark. An assassin's trademark? The blind assassin Sirhan Dogen. He always appeared at the sound of a bell. He took the bell off his knife and put it on a chisel? The sound of a bell ringing in the dark of night is said to be the last thing his target hears. Before he shanks him good. You remember well. It has been a while since you last saw my bells, after all. When I prosecuted you in court, I confiscated a knife with the bell attached to it. Yes, my bells. There are only 2 in the world. Only 2? They're custom made, attached to my knife and Anubis' collar. Even though I can only rely on my ears, I can easily identify them. Alas, one has been confiscated and is not in my possession. I see. When Anubis brought the body here, I heard a familiar sound. I thought my knife must have been embedded in the body. So imagine my confusion when I found out that it was merely a chisel with my bell attached. Instead, your knife is nothing like this chisel. Either way, those bells are my trademark. Moreover, I'm the only one in this prison who uses chisels. With all this, I knew I would be falsely suspected. So I removed the murder weapon and hid it. So you're claiming that you only moved the body? Didn't I tell you? That chisel isn't mine. If you think I'm lying, go ahead and check for my fingerprints. Sebastian! Yeah! Me? What did I do? Forensics. Yes, ma'am! A reaction! Reaction! We have fingerprints! They're Knightley's, Justine. What about Dogen's? Nope! Just Knightley's. And there's no evidence of prints being wiped either. Well, that's just weird. Only Knightley's fingerprints? It can't be. Should we re-examine it? See now? I never even touched that chisel. Because I ordered Anubis to carry it in his mouth. In other words, the fingerprints belong to the chisel's original owner. Dragon! Murder weapon's owner? Was the victim? Huh. This is perplexing. That's putting it lightly. At any rate, I did not touch the murder weapon. In other words, the killer could not have been me. Isn't that right? I have nothing to refute that. How could this... Is he really not the killer? Could Dogen's testimony actually be true? This can't be. It seems this is sufficient evidence enough to not warrant any further explanation. As it stands, you have not changed the state of this case. I believe this is more than enough reason for us to relieve you of your badge. Yeah, nice try. To save any needless fuss, I'd suggest you hand over your badge now. This is bad, sir. They sound serious. It's regrettable, but those prints as decisive evidence, I'll have to rethink my logic from step 1. But there are still many unexplained things. Why would Mr. Knightley be carrying a chisel? It could be used for many things, perhaps even prison escapes. Well then, how did he carry it into the prison? I mean, the prisoners aren't even allowed cutlery. Right, Mr. Edgeworth? Well, was the chisel inside the chessboard? Mr. Edgeworth? Even if your reasoning is off at first, you shouldn't let that confuse you. The most important thing is to arrive at the truth. Isn't that right? It doesn't matter how you get there. The end result is to save Simon. We have to do everything we can for his sake. Well said, Kay. Nice one, Kay. I really want to scout you for the law firm now. Remember when Uncle Ray said a defense attorney never gives up? Miles, do you understand the true meaning behind those words? The true meaning of those words? Defense attorneys carry the fate of their client on their shoulders. You're the only person your client can rely on. Just like with Mr. Keyes, we're the only ones who can save him now. We are linked by fate to our clients. That is why we must never give up. There's no way Uncle Ray can go against the teachings of Gregory. So, what will you do? Currently, I am a defense attorney's assistant. No, an assistant at my father's firm. I have made a commitment to this case. Therefore, if I don't save my client, I cannot say I have achieved it. I will abide by this to save Simon Keyes. No matter how many times my logic fails, I will always find another possibility. Badass! Okay, you're finally back! Well then, let's search for that other possibility. To start with, do you think there was a way Mr. Knightley could have brought the chisel into the prison? The method Knightley used to bring the chisel into the prison was... Oh, I can only assume it was the chessboard.
Take that!
Normally, metal objects can't be brought into the detention center of the prison. They'd just be caught by the security gate. However, there is one way to avoid this. The incredibly terrible mail system. And that is if they're sent in a package to the detention center. That gate is only used on people. In other words, packages sent to the detention center undergo a simpler check. So they don't use a metal detector for that? This never should have happened. It seems the guards were too careless. Knowing this, Knightley asked Simon to send him a package. Namely, a chessboard containing the chisel. Well, this has solved one of our problems. The fact that the chisel was not Mr. Dogen's, but Mr. Knightley's. Interesting, okay. Given this, one major issue remains. The security camera shows a dog attacking the victim. As long as that exists, I will maintain that Dogen is the killer. But Dogen never touched the murder weapon. I'm stumped. We also desire a conclusion to this matter. Mr. Edgeworth, we can use one of my secret weapons, sir. Secret weapon number 4, the video analyzing machine, Mr. Analysis. How long have you had that? What's with that ridiculous name? I named it myself, sir. This will let us analyze video footage in detail. Go ahead. You'll soon see I'm not lying. I don't know what will come of this, but all we can do now is investigate. All right, sure. Mr. Edgeworth, do you know how to use Mr. Analysis? How in the hell would I have any idea? No, I don't know how to use it! Yes, please, tell me. Detective Gumshoe, could you show me how to use it? Of course, sir! Gumshoe to the goddamn rescue! Fundamentally, it's the same as investigating a crime scene. You just examine anything that piques your curiosity. To examine, I just press the X button. Now, I'd like you to look at the buttons below the monitor. The left and right buttons will rewind and fast forward respectively. And the center button lets you pause the video. Let's make good use of it to advance our investigation, sir. Okay. To rewind and fast forward, I use the Y and A buttons. Although I'll be using the touchscreen, I guess. And to pause, I use the B button. While paused, you can go to the previous frame or the next frame. You just use the same left-right buttons as before, sir. Next, I'll explain how to zoom in. Just point the cursor at the area you want to zoom in on and press the button on the upper left of Mr. Analysis. The one that says Zoom Plus. It seems I can also use L button to zoom in, so that's handy. And after you zoomed in, you can examine it just like you would the original image. Use the previous frame and next frame buttons to examine frame by frame. But you can't actually play back the video in this mode, so keep that in mind. And what should I do if I want to zoom out? I'll just press the same button again, sir. Now it should say zoom minus. And that concludes the explanation, sir. Well then, let's turn on Mr. Analysis. Use Mr. Analysis to examine any suspicious part of the video, sir. This is the video from the detention center's camera. I believe this was the moment when Knightley was being attacked by the dog. If that wasn't the case, then what does it show? If the person in this video really is the person in this video really Knightley? And what is the true form of the black silhouette attacking the person? I should check the video and try to find the answers to these two questions. Alright, sure. There could be unexpected things in unexpected places. So be sure to check every nook and cranny of the video, sir. It's kind of spooky how often all of my compatriots are actually using that way of talking. Like settle down already, alright? It's spooky how everybody seems to know how Edgeworth talks at all times. What part of the video is strange? I see. Okay, hang on. How about... zoom in, please. That is way too small to be a... yeah, that's not the dog. Is that even a dog? What is that? This is... I fear we have made a grave miscalculation. This animal, this silhouette, no matter how you look at it, it is not a dog. This animal is... a bear? The polar bear! From the silhouette, I'd say the animal's not a dog, but a bear. So then, in that photo I took, those footprints must have belonged to this bear, yes. I mean, I guess the paw pads would look similar enough. Did you say a bear? Yes, that man is the first to come to mind, but he ran away. Now that we know this black shadow isn't a dog, but a bear, there's a good possibility that the man being attacked is not Knightley. Whatever can show that this man isn't Knightley should be somewhere in the video, wouldn't it, sir? Since his face is not visible, it would be difficult to get direct confirmation. However, perhaps there is something indirectly reflected. Something reflected? There is a mirror! Hey, isn't there a mirror in the cell, sir? Indeed! That could be worth examining. Alright, let's take a look-see-loo. What part of the video is strange? Alright, let's... see. Do I ever see a flash of a face there? Alright, now zoom in for me. Thank you. Back it up, back it up. Huh. Okay, well, one thing's for certain. I definitely see a guard's hat. The reflection of this person can be seen in this mirror. Is that a cap on his head? Actually, it looks kind of like the caps the prison guards wear, sir. You don't think it was a guard who was attacked? Have you received a report of any guards being attacked by an animal? No, not that I've heard, sir. Then it was someone else wearing a guard's uniform. We do know one got stolen. I have evidence that shows what this cap is. It is, well, I imagine it's the stolen uniform. That's my currently running theory. If the game wants to say I'm wrong, they're more than able to do it. Go for it. There was no report of a guard being attacked by an animal. However, we did hear that a guard's uniform was stolen. Putting 2 and 2 together, I do believe we'll have 5. I'd say this was a disguise. For the purpose of a prison escape. Disguise as a god? That sounds like it could have been successful, sir. Speaking of prison escapes. Indeed, that person certainly was successful. We were all under the impression that the person in this video was Knightley. But it's his cell after all. Why would it be anyone else? That line of logic no longer holds. Remember the tunnel under his bed? It's possible whoever used this tunnel is the one in this video. It seems it is time to answer the question. Just who is the person in this video? I mean, there's only one person I guess it can possibly be. It's gotta be... where are they? There you are. There's the sweaty dude. It's gotta be Jay. The person wearing the guard's uniform is... the escaped prisoner, Jay Albert. The probability is extremely high. His pet is a polar bear cub. But the bear here is black. We have evidence that can explain this matter. We do. The reason the polar bear became black is... Oh! Mud packs! Think back to Frank Saut's testimony. That's the rubber glove I dropped. Where did the mud on this glove come from? Huh, that's the mud from my mud packs. At the time I was practicing applying my mud packs. Could you tell me when this took place on the day of the incident? Since the animal show had started, I'd say it was around 9 a.m. The mud packs turned the animals' bodies pitch black, and my heart was pure white. I was totally engrossed with covering the animals in mud. During the animal show, Mr. Saut was applying mud packs to the animals. So then, among those animals, was the polar bear, yes.
Overruled!
What are you overruling? Prosecutor Edgeworth, there's a huge contradiction in your testimony, or in your argument. The security camera footage. What about it? Judge Courtney, you are quite right. Saut used the mud packs during the animal show. Knowing this, a new contradiction in the video comes to light. A new contradiction? Kay, do you know when this footage was taken? It was after the mud packs were used. I would put it around 9 a.m. In that case, you should notice something strange about this video. What's strange about it? The strange thing that contradicts the time this video is taken. Oh, well, would probably be the fact that it says it's 3. Yeah, okay, I see where we're going with this. The time Saut covered the polar bear in mud was around 9 a.m., which means this video should have also been taken at 9 a.m. However, the timestamp reads 6 a.m. On that day, the prisoners went to the courtyard to watch the animal show. At this time, only 3 people remained behind. Dogen in the special cell, Saut in the workroom applying his mud packs, and the one who put his escape plan in motion at that moment, J. Elbert. Elbert left the polar bear in Saut's care and entered the secret tunnel. Let him go! However, the bear escaped from Saut and followed after its owner. Well, that's a problem. And just as he was chasing after the escaped bear, Saut happened to witness the dog pulling the murder weapon out of the body. That would explain why he left. If Saut's testimony is correct, this video must have been taken at around 9 a.m. However, the timestamp is off by 3 hours. Why would the timestamp be off like that? Detective Gumshoe, I'd like you to examine the security camera. Yeah, okay, sure. Sorry to keep you waiting, sir. I asked all the guards and, oh boy, let me tell you. I've got some things to tell you. It seems the camera's power was cut off for a moment, throwing off the timestamp. What? The camera's an old model, so if it loses power, the clock stops as well. In that case, this means the camera's power was cut for 3 hours. That's noteworthy. While I'm at it, I got some more information for you, sir. You heard that Knightley denied stealing the key, right? It seems nobody would believe the words of a criminal, but Knightley testified I was knocked out too. That may not necessarily be a lie. My, there you all are. It's Weirdo Warden. Come to be weird. Making progress in your investigation? Can I be of any help? Actually, Warden Boland, there is something we must report to you. The escaped prisoner, J. Elbert, is most likely still inside the prison. He has disguised himself. Here's the proof. The person visible in the security video is Elbert. So perhaps he's still in this very building. Oh no, Mario All-Stars is about to start! Come to think of it, didn't Mr. Elbert have a bracelet like the other prisoners? The bracelet would have been concealed under the uniform sleeves. Moreover, the prison's main gate does not have a sensor to detect bracelets. All he would have to do is avoid any doors with sensors inside the prison. That's right. So if he didn't enter the cells or the workrooms, could one of you guys be J. Albert? Ah! Rocky! Oh, well, there you go. Found him. Stop it! What are you doing? It would seem that Rocky has answered that question for us. Lucky for us, the polar bear decided to wander into the room at this moment in time. No! Rocky, this is all your fault! The little guy loves you so much. It's enviable. Right then, seize him at once. Wait, there's something we must hear from this prisoner. It's necessary if we are to find the truth. I'd like permission to interrogate him. Understood. What do you want out of me? Albert's escape route is linked to Knightley's cell, so it's highly likely he knows something about the crime. I'd like to ask you about the day the body was found.